Dennis said yesterday that he was planning on Jameis practicing today, but obviously we didn't see him out there. Can you explain what kind of went on there?
Yeah, I think that they're just making what was the best decision for him today. And then obviously, there was a plan last week kind of where he was going to be limited throughout the week, and so we'll just see where we are at tomorrow. But it was just part of the plan as the day unfolded.
As the day unfolded, meaning it wasn't necessarily the plan all week long. So like
Yeah, I think the plan was just kind of see where he was at day to day, and then see if we could get him out there, and so hopefully that happens tomorrow.
Is there a turning point at some point where you decide who you need to go forward with?
Yeah, I think that there's a plan in place. Obviously the head coach and trainers have a plan in place, but that decision will be made, and when it is, I'll let Dennis make those calls.
How much confidence do you have with Andy running the offense if James came?
Well, absolutely a ton of confidence in him. That's why he's here, and he's smart. He gets in and out of the huddle. He knows he knows what we're doing, what the plan is. A lot of confidence in Andy.
Is there a drastic change, do you think, in terms of having Andy in there running the offense, just in terms of just how operation goes and everything else?
Well, I think as we're putting the plan together, I think that every week we meet at the end of the week when the plan's done and just kind of see what are they comfortable with, and so if there's certain plays that one's more comfortable with than the others, then we'll go with that.
Pete, you said the plan was to evaluate them day by day, and DA said yesterday the plan was for him to practice today. Does that mean something changed today?
I let Dennis talk about any of that stuff, but I know that the trainers meeting with Dennis, they have a plan in place, and we'll follow that plan.
Coach, how comfortable do you feel with Taysom's reps at quarterback this week? If Andy has to play, Jameis has to play, obviously he's getting extra reps this week at the position.
Yeah, I think that obviously Taysom's played for us before. He's been in that position where he's had to do, and he's taken some snaps at quarterback this year. So we have all the confidence in the world of Taysom too. If it ever came to that, he had to get in there and play that role. But we plan on, sticking with the plan and going from there.
Pete, can you put your finger on what was kind of behind some of the slow starts, and then what kind of a hole does that put you in offensively to where you're kind of changing what you would otherwise do?
I'll just start and say I got to do a better job. I know, last week we felt we had a couple good drives that stalled out with some penalties, and again, we're turning the ball over too much, and we're not converting on third down as well as we should be. So that starts with me.
And then does that kind of take you out of what you your regular game plan when you're?
Well, I think we unfortunately we've fallen behind, and we've had to change up to get into a little bit of a hurry up mode there. But it's obviously things that we're working on during the week and making sure that we're not letting those things happen.
Is a hurry up something you guys could mix in? Like, just is it a change of pace?
I think it can. Yeah, it's something that can be a part of this. Obviously, there's also some stress that you put on the offensive line. If you're dropping back and throwing it every snap, which has been hard for those guys the last few weeks.
Are you okay with the number of touches that Alvin's been getting so far?
Well, I would say this. I think that if we can extend some more drives, I think he'd have more carries. And so I think that, no, I wish he had more opportunities. I think that comes with converting third downs and having more opportunities to call some more run plays.
Was the run game we obviously put the passing game under a microscope, but was the run game one of the things that you didn't have as much success as you needed to in this last game?
I don't feel that coming out. I have confidence in the run game. I thought the guys up front and the tight end, I think they're playing well, and I think the running backs are playing well. So I think that I don't have any complaints with that.
If there is a change of quarterback this weekend, how does that affect how you deal with the offensive line going into Sunday as well? Because Jameis has that bit more mobility compared to him.
I would say that we're comfortable with who's back there. I don't think there's necessarily any change of plan. Again, it'll just be as the plan finishes up tonight, kind of thinking, okay, if this guy's playing, what's he most comfortable with in the plan?
Coach, what does Jameis need heading into Sunday to be ready to go if he's not practicing?
Well, I think as part of the plan, he's in the meetings, he's getting the mental reps, and so I think that it was a little similar last week, except he was able to get out today as opposed to what it is this week. But I think that he's preparing, he's in the meeting rooms, and watching the film and all the communication that's going to happen, he's a part of.
If you all play tomorrow, would James be able to go, you think?
I wouldn't be able to answer. That would have to come from Dennis or the trainers.
And Pete, just for you, how have you enjoyed the London experience this week? How do you think the players have as well?
Well, I would say it's always nice to come out here. Enjoyed the weather the last 2 days. I think that I've pretty much been living in here though, so haven't got to see much other than what's in there. I use the bus rides as a chance to get a little naps. So.
Olave was named the rookie of the month. It just we kind of think of his first couple of weeks as a pro and kind of stepping up into a big spot for you guys.
Yeah, I think that he's been a playmaker for us, and when you look back, it's there's also been some missed opportunities for him. So obviously, we felt great when we drafted him about the player that he was, and I think he's meeting those expectations.
Coach, when you look at the turnovers, there's 9, right? I mean,
Yeah,
do you show them those turnovers, or how do you coach your team?
Yeah, absolutely. We show them every play, and I think that one turnover last week. We're just trying to throw it up there at the end of the game to try to get to some field position. But again, it's something that starts with Dennis emphasizing it every week that this is, if we continue to do this, we're going to continue to lose. We can't be doing that, and so we got to do a better job coaching it and making sure it's not happening.
How much does James come to you as a coaching staff and say, I'm struggling with X, Y, and Z, or how much do you point that out to show him what he's struggling with?
Well, I think it's a matter of him not only letting us know what he's comfortable with, but us putting him in those positions to be successful. Like, hey, what are you comfortable with, or what have you done well, and making sure that that's where we're putting him in those situations and not putting him in situations that he's not comfortable with. All right.
Coach, after last week, no turnovers forced. How much of an emphasis has that been this week to try to force more turnovers?
Yeah, major emphasis, right? Again, we have to get back to our defense being great at being ball disruptors. So it's an emphasis each and every single week, but we know how critical it is to the success of our team.
Chris, can you just tell us the challenges that Justin Jefferson presents? I saw you at practice today, kind of also breaking it down for some of the players.
Sure.
What to see from him.
Yeah, no, he's a crafty wide receiver. Again, he's got really good hands, he's poised, and he's got really good speed, right? Again, I don't care what the time says, right? You constantly see this guy getting behind defenders. So you have to watch him. You definitely have to keep your eyes on him. You have to be consistent and disciplined and put ourselves in proper position. So if we get lackadaisical, right, again, allow our eyes to the fellas, and he'll be open.
Chris, I'm sure you don't want to give a specific answer on Sunday, but what goes into deciding when you want Marshawn to shadow a guy and when you're going to keep the corners on two sides?
Yeah, it's all about our best matchup for our team. So we take a look, we see how much of an offense is truly designed around one guy, and trust this fact. Like, we have confidence in all of our defensive backs to go out there and cover whomever. But if it's best for us to match up Marshawn on a particular guy, then we will do so.
Chris, how would you evaluate Marshawn's play just so far this season?
Yeah, it's been consistent, right? Again, he's been in intense. The coverage intensity has been there. He hasn't been challenged very much. I think he's only had the ball thrown at him 7 times, and that's because, again, he's a quality player, and he's again being productive, right? So again, the coverage intensity, he's where he's supposed to be, and the quarterbacks don't like throwing at him.
The word consistency was kind of attached to him, and then in the last 2 years, it seems like he's really kind of settled into finding some consistency. What do you attribute that to?
Yeah, it's maturation. Like this guy is again, he's still a young, developing talent, right? And it's pretty remarkable to say that, considering the amount of Pro Bowls that he's been to, because he's a quality player who's still getting better.
How do you see him developing?
It's, again, the discipline, the eye discipline, and the preparation. Now, I don't know whatever he's been before I got here, but everything that I've seen from him has been that.
Chris, can you kind of explain how y'all wanted to use Debo last week? You only had 9 snaps, just getting him in big clutch situations, or how'd you kind of do that?
Well, it's just an integration process.
Yeah.
Again, we did not want to put the entirety of the game back on and then really test the endurance, right? So if the endurance wasn't going to be there, if he wasn't going to be fit enough to play the entire game, well, that's our responsibility. That's our fault for putting him in that situation. So we just wanted to make sure, again, that we integrated him in properly, give him a few reps here and there to make sure that he's coming back and all in one piece.
So just so I'm sure it was a shape issue, not like a worry about re-aggravating.
No, it wasn't a re-aggravation issue. This is about, again, the amount of practice, right? Again, the amount of time missed.
Coach, what's been your evaluation of Kirk in this new offense for Minnesota, and some real talking points with your team?
Yeah, it's so the system, right? Again, it's unique per se, right? It all kind of generates from the Shanahan, Gruden type era, going all the way back to the Washington. But this is what Kirk, he has done this, right? So the time that he spent as Washington's quarterback in the Shanahan system, right? Again, it's normal, right? And that's the way that we see him. So, intermediate passing game, they'll find a way to take their shots, and then obviously, again, utilizing some athleticism with boots and rollouts. That's been his career. He's thrived in it, and we know we have to be up for the task.
What's some of the challenges down if he plays? I don't know if he's playing, but what's some of the challenges that he has?
I mean, fast, physical, really good contact balance, really good vision. Again, has been a quality player in this league for a long time. So one cut, right, stick his foot in the ground, explosive, and tough to bring down. So all 11, each and every single person on defense on the field have to get to the football. Again, got to get his cleats out the grass.
Coach, on defense, have you taken any inspiration from your training at rugby ground this weekend, the rugby tackling? Because not many missed tackles in rugby. You see a few more perhaps in American football. Have you analysed the technique, tried to implement that at all?
Yeah, that's a really interesting question because my background was from Seattle, and we actually utilized the quote-unquote technique, which is the original technique taught with American football with eyes through the thighs, see what you hit, right? Again, wrap, squeeze, and roll, and or fish hook, right? Which is part of the rugby term, if I can remember correctly. So it's ironic you asked that because, it's that whole system of tackling is something that we've carried along with our teaching and our coaching for a lot of years now.
You just won the week. It's not getting
One
better
more,
than
guys.
that.
Yeah, right? Yeah. Oh, good. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Chris. Appreciate it.
All right, guys, fire away.
When a kicker like Will, who's had a ton of success, is kind of having a little bit of a slow start to the season, how do you kind of work through that?
Yeah, listen, you chalk up, you look at Will's body of work, you look at what Will did in the preseason. He had tremendous preseason. I think he missed one kick, maybe in practice for the entire preseason, and really, really happy with where he is. Listen, he had a bad day at the office last week. It happens to all of us. A couple of technical things. It's certainly nothing that's alarming. I still have, we all do have, very, very strong belief in Will as a player, and I know he's going to get it cleaned up, so it's not even a concern.
And he seems like the kind of guy who's pretty mentally strong, able to kind of bounce back from that stuff pretty quickly.
Yeah, listen, I think that's probably one of Will's best attributes is his personality. Listen, he's a guy that's going to analyze everything. He's a competitor, he's a fighter, and there was no one more upset about it than him. So he'll get it cleaned up, and he knows what he needs to do. And again, moving forward, I'm not a concern at all.
Were you guys kind of scrambling to replace Deontay last week? Was that part of the plan?
Well, listen, I think the best part of our roster right now is different than the past. We actually have more options right now in the return game than we might have had in other years. So you look at some of our guys on the roster that have a return experience. There's a number of guys. Obviously, Jarvis is a guy that I coached in Miami before, and he had a lot of success with us as a punt returner there. There's a number of guys that can kick return for us as well. And so we go into a game, and we have about 4 or 5 different guys that could potentially do it for us. So I don't know if scramble's the right word. Listen, Deontay, when he's out there, he changes the game. He's one of the best in the business at what he does, and so he's certainly a major factor when he's on the field for us. But we do have a lot of options in the building, so that helps us.
Maybe the better way to ask that was, were you guys expecting to be without him going into Sunday?
Yeah, listen, that you can handle. DA will handle all the injury stuff. We prepare every week to get everybody ready to play, and so I knew that we knew that he was maybe dealing with something, but again, DA could probably fill in better with that than I can.
Coach, what goes into the decisions, kick by kick, of whether to take it out of the end zone? And I mean, was that a plan to be aggressive, and because the points weren't on the board, or was that
in reference to last week?
Last week.
Yeah. So listen, their kicker kicked us 2 line drive balls. One we didn't field cleanly, and we were 1 guy away from scoring on the play. If we field that ball cleanly, we're going to get really, really good field position. So a lot goes into the return, or where he's lining up, the trajectory of the ball, the hang time, where the ball is, how much distance in the end zone it might have, or how much width it might have. And so a lot goes into what our call is on that particular play. But if we get a line drive ball right at us, we feel like we can get great field position. The one we mishandled, and then obviously Dwayne kind of lost his footing on the other. But we feel like we had a couple of good plays there, just kind of didn't execute. We kind of left him on the field a little bit. So I think if you look at our numbers, we've probably been more aggressive than most teams in terms of returning the ball. We feel like we can make a play in that. We haven't been a highly penalized team, although we got one last week. And so we're kind of aggressive in that nature, probably a little bit more than most.
And we haven't talked to you since the 53-man roster was put together. Was there anyone who particularly had a really outstanding summer that sort of earned their way into a significant role in this team through special teams that stood out?
There's a few. You look through our roster. I think that's again one of the things when you look at our 53-man is that we have a bunch of guys at different positions that can be core players, and so. There's the names that you guys are used to: Dwayne Washington, Zach Bond, Andrew Dowell. But guys that have stepped up for us. Alante Taylor, obviously he's out right now, but he had a great camp. A guy like Kirk Merritt had a great camp on special teams. A guy like Chase Hansen had a great. So there's a number of players that I thought really stood out. Dan Sorensen has been a really, really great addition to our team. He was involved in 3 tackles last week. He was our in-house special teams player of the week that we give out weekly. So. There's a number of guys, and so I'm really confident with that core group. I think we have a really, really good depth there.
Thank you very much.
Thank
You got it, guys. Appreciate it.
Cheers.
What's the focus this week on more offensive efficiency? I mean, it's easy to say what didn't work with the penalties and the turnovers, but how do you clean that up?
I think, obviously you mentioned it, the penalties getting behind the sticks. Obviously I can remember the first false start that I had, we had 2nd and 2, not 2nd and 7, and that destroys some of your stuff you can do with the playbook. But that's what it is. You got to stay ahead, first down efficiency. We have to, obviously you want to live in, 2nd and 6 or better after first down. So I think that's what it comes down to. And then I think it's just, I think we see some really good things on offense, but it's just it is inconsistent right now. and we have to get it corrected pretty fast.
This is probably a dumb question, but like, what is the coaching point to like stop false starts? And I think you guys have had like 4 of them so far as teams that just don't do it.
No, it's just, I mean, it's concentration, like knowing, what we're doing cadence wise and all that type of stuff. So yeah, it's just a concentration and a focus thing. But you can't become simplified with cadence. You have to be exotic in a way because you have to be able to make sure they're not jumping the cadence, especially when you're on silent and it's loud outside. You can't hear anything. So
if Jameis can't go, how confident are you guys if you need all this?
yeah, I mean our whole quarterback room, we're very confident in. If that's the case, then we have a lot of confidence in him. He's a guy who's done it for a very long time and has done it at a very, very high level. So yeah, I mean, we have all the confidence in the world in him, in Taysom, and everyone else. So yeah.
How difficult is it to make those adjustments as a receiver between 2 different quarterbacks, throw the ball at a different speed, perhaps different angles, different preferences?
Yeah, I think it can be a little different, but I mean, they all do the same thing. The timing, rhythm. It's not taught any differently from one quarterback to another. So yeah, I mean, you just kind of it's the reps through the week or whatever the case may be.
Adam, is this your first time in London?
It is, yeah. I've never been overseas. I've been to Mexico. That's the only time I've been out of the country.
I know it's a work trip. But
Yeah.
How have you enjoyed it so far? Is there anything in particular you kind of would love to do?
Well, Tuesday, we got here early, Monday morning. So Tuesday was kind of our day to go explore, I guess.
What did you get up to?
What'd you say?
What did you get up to?
We went to, me and my girlfriend actually, we went to Buckingham Palace, like that Soho area,
Yes,
right? Yeah. So we went there. That was pretty neat. I like that. Buckingham Palace. Not a huge Harry Potter person, but my girlfriend is. There's like that alley from the movie. I don't know. It was just like an alley. We just walked through it. She was like freaking out about it, but that was cool, I guess.
And you're looking forward to playing at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. I know it's a new kind of stadium, and also one for the fans as well, because it'll be a very different atmosphere. The fans come in all sorts of jerseys for all the teams in the NFL.
Yeah, I there's like a running joke that all 32 teams are represented here when we play because everyone's got their own team or whatever. But and that special teams is the most exciting plays of the game for a lot of people out here, kicking the ball, obviously. But yeah, I'm excited. It'll be a great experience, and I'm glad we're here, obviously.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Dealing with the jet lag this week, are you noticing as the reps have gone on in practice that it's getting crisper as you guys adjust to it?
Yes, absolutely. I think a lot of people felt the same way yesterday when we started practice, and it was like, oh my God, I haven't moved since Sunday, and sitting on the plane forever, all that type of stuff. So yeah, it definitely feels like today. I know everybody felt much better than we did yesterday. So it's obviously an advantage thing because we got out here early in the week. So yeah, we all feeling better.
Are you guys discussing that quite openly then, that being here earlier and the Vikings are going to feel how we felt on Tuesday when they're playing on Sunday kind of thing?
Exactly. Yeah, you find every advantage you can.
Thank you.
Good?
Thanks,
Cool.
Adam.
Thanks.
How is everybody?
How are you?
How are you, Cam?
You know, we're working. It was actually semi-warm today. There was actually a sun in the sky. I saw that today. It was nice. I'm still in sweats though. Is it still September? Apparently, it's got to be winter here. This is my winter. Maybe
Autumn.
this.
I heard on the radio today.
Okay.
Autumn.
I don't see in Arizona. We don't have that. We don't have that fall autumn season. We've got hot and hotter.
Other than acclimation and sleep schedules and everything, why do you guys seem to feed off of these weeks where you guys are in a hotel together?
I mean, it's a great way to bond. I mean, Monday we went to a soccer game, a soccer match. Saw England versus Germany, which became a thriller towards the end. You know, ended up in a tie, but we saw like 5 goals in the last 26 minutes of play. Good stuff. And you know, you're sitting there with your teammates, AK, Mark, some of the D linemen, some linebackers. I mean, that's where you figure out who people are as more than just your teammates. D line went to go eat dinner Monday, Tuesday out at one of these local spots out here. And I think that's, you know, it's always fun when you can get the group together. I think that it sort of helps with our pass rush games. I think that it helps knowing who your guy is, what his temperaments are, how is he feeling. And again, this is heading into week 4. The faster I can know Contavious Street like I know David Onyemata, the better we're going to be for our rush. The faster I know how Peyton's going to get off or how he's going to treat the middle, and the faster I can work off of him. So they're just the opposite way.
Yeah, we know how good the run defense has been over the years. What would you attribute some of the struggles, I guess, early on in that aspect?
You know, we talked about it this week, and it's just getting back to the fundamentals. It's everybody's wanting to make plays, but taking that deep breath, if you will, and just focus on the techniques that you have in hand and getting back to what we do, what is our standard. You see Atlanta game, that wasn't our standard. You see Tampa game, our standard. You see this last game wasn't our standard. You can't have that roller coaster. To be even kill is exactly where we need to be. And I mean, me and the D-line have talked about it. Everybody gets so amped up, so excited to take the field that sometimes it's like, I need to do more, when really we just need to do our jobs and focus on doing your job, and a lot is going to happen for you.
Cam, what are your thoughts on Kirk Cousins?
There we go. We talk about Kirk Cousins. I mean, he's one of those guys that can hurt you if you don't harass him in the pocket. Everybody knows the weapons that he has. Everybody knows the arm that he has. He's one of those guys that can make all the throws, one of those guys that when he's on his timing, it can be a problem for a defense. So it's going to be on us to get him off of that.
Cam, Adam Troutman said that you had Tuesday to kind of explore the city a bit and stuff like that. What did you get to on Tuesday, and what have you made of London so far?
I don't know what I did Tuesday, honestly. It seems like it was such a time ago. Learned you can't have sweats at a dinner restaurant. I was in track pants. They weren't even like this. You know, they weren't MC Hammer pants. They were like, you know, had little track pants, and they sweated me about that one. I was like, it is what it is. So we ran off to Levi's or something, grabbed some jeans for dinner. That was the D-line dinner. So that was that. We were like, some guys were in shorts, some guys were in sweats. They looked presentable. But I understand there's a standard there, so we had a match standard. Other than that, I mean, we walked around a little bit. I think some guys had some different situations pop up where, you know, they were walking like Soho all the way over to Regent Street, all the way over. I was like, that's walking way too much. And for me, I mean, I checked out a store or two. I'm just more focused on, you know, the rehab part of Tuesday, getting my body right, mind right. And really just hanging out with my friends before focusing in on Vikings. Oh, actually Tuesday we started off with breaking down film. We sort of kept to our normal schedule.
And I know it's a work trip, but are you looking forward to playing at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium as well, kind of new venue as well?
No. No, not now that I've learned that it's like an hour out from London. No, let's play back in Wembley. But I'm excited to be here, and the new stadium is great. It doesn't really matter for me where we play. It doesn't matter who we play. With my guys, we play our technique, we play our way, we play our defense, we live up to our standards. I don't care where we play. I do sort of care about the sleep schedule imposed upon. But when it comes down to us only having 17 opportunities guaranteed, we have to take advantage of each and every one. So I'm excited to be in London. I hope that Tottenham is an amazing place to play. I hope that everybody will be bought in, as I remember they were the last time we played. I do, however, really want this game to be here so we can go ahead and get this game on. Mm-hmm.
Cam, games
Will we call it a match or a game here? We call it a match.
Well, either really. You get away with either.
Might call it a match.
Cam, games in the NFL are tighter this year than they've ever been in terms of margins, and offensive production with some of the star players at the start of this year seems to be down quite a bit. Is that something you've noticed yourself this year as a defensive player, and perhaps why that might even be taking place at the moment in the NFL?
Nope, but that's what you've noticed, huh? At the end of the day, I don't really carry too much interest into who's catching what, who's throwing what. As long as at the end of the day we get a win, that's all that matters. I do know we won the first game, we've lost our last two, so we've got to get out of that. I know we got the Vikings coming in, and whether Chris Olave is the Rookie of the Month, which I just found that one out this morning, or Mike Thomas or Jarvis is the Player of the Year, that has nothing to do with the game that's coming up Sunday. We're worried about trying to put our best foot forward to get a win.
Cam, what identity do you think this team is forming? It's so early yet, but what do you think?
It is forming. I'll say we're 3 weeks in now. And in my mind, I've always said defense wins championships, so we have to be who we think we are on defense. I'll let the offense worry about themselves. I think when you have a guy like Alvin Kamara, we have the wide receiver core that you do. When you have the quarterbacks that we have, that can take care of itself. I think you talk about the OC in our offense and what we've been able to do over the years. It'll start producing soon. In terms of our defense, if we can create one turnover, we can create more. The games that we've lost, we've had one turnover to the next team's 2 or 3 or 4, and at that point, 3 and outs are nice, but we can start creating more turnovers. I'm gonna emphasize more turnovers. We start scoring touchdowns on our side. We're going to end the games a lot more efficiently, if you will.
How did you pick your outfit out for this trip for Sunday?
I didn't. I just threw some clothes in. I knew it was going to be cold. For Sunday.
Can you give us a preview?
Nope. Not at all. I still haven't fully decided how far I'm going to go, but I can go as far as I need to. You'll see eventually. The question is, I'll let you decide, tie, no tie.
I'm thinking tie in London. It's quite papa.
Okay. A Windsor. Perfect.
Anything else?
Thank you.
We'll see you at the match Sunday.
Perfect.
Thanks, Joe.
Wear a jersey, or that's your team?
I don't know. I like them. I'm a fan. Yeah, they just gave it to him.
What kind of stands out about Justin Jefferson?
I think he's a really good receiver as far as creating separation. And he kind of runs like pretty crafty routes. Doesn't necessarily stick to like the orthodox way to run routes. So definitely a guy you got to prepare for.
How was it just first game back last week?
Yeah, it was good just getting back out there. Obviously missed first 2 games, so just trying to get back out there with my team really.
And when you say Jefferson runs unorthodox routes, what are some of the things that make you say that? Like, what is
just
he
like
do?
his tempo. Sometimes he switches things up. And he's creative with his routes, so definitely a guy you got to pay attention to.
Is this your first time over in London?
It's my second time. I came over here a couple years ago, but loved it. Yeah.
What did you get up to on Tuesday? Because I know the team have all had a ton to explore.
Treatment. Yeah, just make sure my ankle's, right. So in there working with them, ankle mobility and stuff. So I didn't do too much exploring, but I'll have plenty of time for that later.
Thanks, man.
I told him I gotta give him a shout out, so I don't know. So we had some of the guys come out and watch the end of our practice, and forgive me if I messed their name up, but Colin Inglefield, Matt Williams, Henry Arundel, James Stokes, and Ben Louder. They was out there. We traded balls. We traded a ball. I told him I was gonna give him one back, so I got him tomorrow. So told him I'd give him a shout out when I got up here. So.
Quez, we actually talked to one of the guys after practice. They were talking. We were like, "All right, could you play American football?" And they were like, "I don't know, like especially with the helmets and the pads."
Man.
So I'll pose it to you. Do you think you could be on the rugby side?
No, absolutely not. I said we was talking about it during our practice. So we seen them watching. We was like, they probably thinking they could probably come over and play. I was like, they probably could.
Yeah.
Well, it's just a little different. They just got to wear stuff, opposed to not wearing it. But I guarantee they can probably come play.
Yeah, they got the body type for sure. Like they can handle the toughness.
One of them said, I ain't gonna say which name, but he said, show him his tape, show coach his clips. So I'm gonna show it to him.
So what are you going to do with the ball when you get back to the U.S.?
Hang it up, just like that. Hang it up around my counter.
Hey, Quez, I talked to James yesterday. He told me, like, asked you what did he tell you before the touchdown catch? What did he tell you?
When we was coming on the field, he said, you ready to score a touchdown? Or he said, you ready to score? And I was like, duh. And then we called the play and went out there and scored. Just like that.
What did he kind of say in the film room when he watched that play again about your catch?
Also, we didn't watch it together. We watched it as a receiver room, and just a way to make a play. Just got to make it happen, whatever it takes.
Yeah, Jameis was adamant that like those plays are luck plays. Like there's a lot of because he has confidence in your guys' verts and your guys' ability, and so I'm sure you look at it the same way. Those aren't luck plays. Those are
right.
Taking advantage of opportunity.
Right. He knows where we're supposed to be at. We know where we're supposed to be at. Whether we get there late, get there early, he's expecting us to be there. And if he has trust to, some people see it as he blindly threw it up, but like he said, it's not luck plays. We know what we're doing. He knows. He trusts us to be there, and we just make it happen.
If Jameis can't play Sunday, how confident are you in Andy running the offense?
Andy's been in the league longer than probably anybody on the team, so no one's worried about Andy. Andy knows what to do. He's a veteran. He knows what's at stake. He knows how to make it work, and we're going to go out there and make it happen.
I guess what did you get up to on Tuesday? I know a lot of the players had a bit more time off to explore the city. What did you get up to?
I went to the soccer game, the England and Germany soccer game. That was by far the best experience I've ever had.
Why?
Because I've always wanted to go to a soccer game, especially overseas. So, and it being an international team, it was. When I got there, I called my best friend and showed him, and he was like, "You got to bring me a jersey home." And I was like, "I can't, bro. You want Germany, though? I can't bring home a Germany team, though." So, but no, that was definitely a great experience, and I definitely will be back.
And I know it's a work trip, but do you get kind of a London vibe, and you get to enjoy the week a little bit, just being in a different setting?
Yeah, we did. We went and got food. I couldn't tell you where it was.
Was it nice then?
It was nice. It was tacos. We ate some tacos.
Very British.
Ate some tacos. But no, we supposed to go somewhere today and get some food. So that's pretty much why I want to come out here. Come out here and eat.
Cool. And you're excited to start the show for all the fans, because all the fans support all the different teams who are going to be coming to the game. But I guess it's a chance to show why they should get excited about the Saints.
Right. I know I'm excited. I know the team's excited, especially we going out there to play, playing in a different setting, and hopefully it ain't gonna be cold. First of all, it's cold out here. It is very cold out here.
Yeah, get that one.
It's very cold out here, so it's gonna be a little change from New Orleans. But yeah, we're definitely excited to go out there and play. Different crowd, but I guarantee watching the soccer game, I know they're gonna bring the energy. So.
And just finally on that, you said you always wanted to go to a soccer game. You're going to be playing out one of the biggest stadiums in England for football, soccer, whatever you like. How exciting is that?
Excited. I know I play at the stadium on FIFA a lot, so it's gonna be a little different. When I go back home, I'm gonna tell the guys, just something slight, something I played at. Right.
Wes, knowing the football comes out of every quarterback's hand differently, how does it come out of Jameis's hand versus Andy's, and how does a receiver adjust to that?
I would say, like you said, everything is different. It's at the end of the day, it's still, throw and catch. We work with both. We work with all the quarterbacks, so it's not going to be too much different. Only thing about Andy, he doesn't throw it as hard as Jameis, so that's going to be a little bit of help. And it's cold, so it's going to be a lot more help on our hands. But like I said, we work with both, so it's not going to be too much of a difference.
So he doesn't throw it as hard, so how do you adjust your, ball control to receive that?
Depending on what route it is, how close we are, because when he wants to throw it hard, he could throw it hard. But compared to Jameis, he doesn't throw it as hard as he does. So it'll be a little more easier, a little more, we could see it coming a little quicker, a little steadier. So I think that'll be the biggest change.
What about as far as how Andy handles the huddle? How's he as far as commanding the huddle?
Like I said, he's a veteran. He knows what he's talking about. He knows what he's doing. So Andy's somebody that, especially at the quarterback position, that if he says it, he calls it, then no question, we just go out there and run it. Because at the end of the day, like I said, he's been in the system. He knows a thing or two. So whatever he's going with, we're going. That's the same with Jameis, though. They're both vets. They both played a lot of football. So it's whatever they say we're going to do, no questions asked.
One more, guys.
You say you play FIFA. Do you have a team?
Ah, man. So
Great question.
At first, it was PSG. Okay, and then when Messi got on PSG, everybody goes to PSG. So I stopped playing with PSG, started playing with Bayern, and then Lewandowski left. So now I got to find another team. So I got a Tottenham jersey in the bag. So look, I'm already transferring. So I'm already transferring. I need another team now. I need another team.
So. You're aware that there's another big game on Saturday involving Tottenham.
I know, I can't go. I already looked into it. There's gonna be a lot of standing, a lot of movement. We need that time to get off our feet. But best believe I'll be watching it.
Thank you, Bryce.
Tell them I want to beat them too.
Thank you, bro.
Tyron, obviously you're familiar with Justin. Just what does he do well, just in terms of how his game, I've heard unorthodox in terms of how he runs his routes and how he gets out of breaks and stuff. Is that what you kind of see as well?
Yeah, I mean, I think, he's an exceptional, player. I think he's built and made for, today's game. Just getting guys like him in space, creating mismatches. So you'll kind of see him line up on all over the formation. He'll be out wide. He'll be in the slot. They'll even try to match him up on a linebacker. So, and he's a smart player too. So, I think we'll definitely, have to understand where he is in the formation, and then just try our best to, kind of eliminate him.
Tyron, what can a trip like this do for this team coming off of back-to-back losses and trying to get back on track?
Yeah, obviously you don't want to never lose 2 games in a row, but I think anytime you're able to kind of get with the team for, a week or so, and it just be us, it kind of, feels like training camp, all over again, and, I think it's good to kind of have those days where we just seeing each other, so just really hoping that it could kind of go to our advantage, then we could kind of get this bad taste out of our mouth.
Tyron, how are you?
Hey, Stacey. How you doing?
What's more concerning, the run game with Delvin and Alex Madison, or Adam Thielen and Justin Jefferson, because they're both dynamic?
Yeah, I think they both present, their own challenges. Obviously Dalvin Cook has, always been one of my favorite backs. Just his speed, the power, his explosiveness through the hole. I think anytime he's able to get to the second level, I think he becomes a real threat. And then too, I think, just the weapons that they have outside. They get Irvin Smith back, so he'll be a guy that we have to focus on, from the tight end position. But I think Kirk Cousins too. I think he's a great quarterback, especially when he's in rhythm. He's on beat. So I think this offense, people probably see them statistically and they don't think that good. But when you turn on the film, you realize that it's about 5 or 6 guys that you have to account for. So like I said, we'll have our hands full.
Is there a resounding message this week from the veterans, not the coaches but the players, to the body work of this team to win Sunday?
Yeah, we got to finish. You know, I think especially defensively, you know, I think we've played some great stretches. You know, we just haven't been able to finish. And then too, we got to find a way to affect the ball. You know, it's been a while since, you know, we kind of created turnovers and gotten the ball back to our offense. So, you know, I think all these games are huge. You know, I think every game you play in the NFL is, you know, all about who wins the turnover battle. And so who can affect the quarterback and affect, you know, the primary weapons of the offense. So, you know, I think defensively we want to be able to do that. You know, we want to be able to flip field position for our offense, and, you know, we want to be able to affect the ball.
Tyron, what's the greatest strength of an experienced quarterback like Cousins?
Well, I think he's seen it all, you know, so, you know, we'll have to do a great job of, you know, really just kind of getting him off beat, getting him off his spot, and just kind of creating havoc. But, you know, I think he's a guy that's played in this league a long time. You know, I think he understands certain coverages, and then he can spin the football as well. He got great weapons. So, you know, like I said, we'll have our hands full with them. We just have to get to them early and often.
Hey, Todd, have you played against Andy Dalton in your career at any point?
Yes, I have.
What are some things that he does, you know, well?
Well, he's a great quarterback too. I think when he's in rhythm, you know, he could really make every throw, you know, and he can make people look good as well. And so I think another aspect to him is you know, he can move around a little bit. You know, I think his speed is, you know, definitely deceiving. So if you give him a certain coverage, I think he'll take those 8, 9, 10 yards that you give him. So, you know, I think if he's able to play this week, you know, I'm more than certain that, you know, all of us, you know, really have our confidence in him.
Tyron, I know it's a work trip when you come to London, but when it gets announced in the summer that you have a game in London, is there something you look forward to?
Yeah, I mean, you know, you always want to go shopping. I think it's a lot of threads and shoes out here that, you know, we don't really have access to in America. So unless you have a plug or somebody you know. No, it's always cool to kind of, you know, get around and experience new cultures, new people, new environments. But you know, I think most of us, when London comes to mind, you know, we want to hit the mall. We want to shop a little bit.
And have you had a chance to do that, or what have you got in your downtime?
Yeah, I mean, you know, actually, it's been a blessing that, you know, we kind of came here, you know, Monday morning. And so, you know, we had a day or so to kind of get out and experience the city. But, you know, once it gets to Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, you know, you got to flip your attention to football. I don't think the trip will make any sense if we don't win the game Sunday. So it's just really trying to balance it all out, stay focused on, you know, what's really important.
And I'm sure the fans can't wait to see, especially the likes of you in action. So you're looking forward to putting on a show for all the fans to get a chance.
Yeah, most certainly. You know, obviously you want to make plays. You want to be able to, you know, give fans, you know, what they paid for. But, you know, like I said, the most important thing is just finding a way to win a game, you know, as a team. So, you know, that's really like the only thing on my mind and really the rest of our minds as well.
Tyron, is it easy as a veteran coming into this team this year to step in and play a real leadership role straight away, particularly when perhaps it's a slightly more difficult start to the season?
Yeah, I mean, it's coming along. You know, this team has already had great leaders, you know, especially on the defensive side. I think every experience is kind of like its own experience. So, you know, I've just been taking my time with it, not trying to be anything but me. But I do, you know, feel, you know, as the weeks go by, you know, me becoming more vocal, you know, more passionate, just kind of showing, you know, the kind of player and person that I am. But, you know, it definitely was, you know, kind of, you know, just trying to find a way that you can fit in, you know what I mean, and not really step on other people's toes.
Hey, Tyron, when you see guys like Justin Jefferson and Irv Smith, guys from back in New Orleans, do you always kind of talk to them before after the game, or it just depends on either game?
Yeah, I usually stay away from that. You know, I'll holler at people usually after the game, but before the game, you know, I probably talk to Pat P before the game, but you know, other than that, you know, I mean, it's all about battling. You know, it's all about competing, and you know, I don't want to soften anybody up. I want their best shot. You know what I mean?
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Appreciate it.
All good. Appreciate it. Thank you. Yep.